All right, everybody, welcome back to Mondays Down South. No Zach this week, but we do have a guest. We got Alex back on, which means baseball. He was our guy last year for one of our kind of pre-opening day episodes. So we got him back for our MLB prediction special opening day coming up on Thursday. Alex, you want to say hello?
Yeah, what's going on, fellas? Happy to be back.
Cy?
I was expecting more out of Alex. He kind of kicked it over real quick. It's good to have you. Good to have you back, Windermere. Pleasure as always to all the ladies and gents tuning in. We appreciate y'all very much for checking in. Zach is not online. He says he's busy with work stuff. It seems kind of ideal that he's missing another baseball one. You know, after he sat down last week and told us about how he's well researched on baseball this year, and he was going to pick his fandom. So we're gonna have to put a poll out there. But apparently Zach is officially gonna decide whether he's a Nationals or Orioles fan this year and like really lock in. So I feel pretty strongly. I know which one that's gonna be. Ev, sorry, win. Congratulations on having another one on the Nats train. Not that it really matters, but we'll miss Zach.
It'd be nice if it wasn't Pakulik. Pakulik on the Nats train. I feel like that's bad juju.
Most definitely. And you know what's crazy is it feels like this baseball season has snuck up on us. At least I personally feel that way. You know, I don't know about you guys, but
yeah, no, I definitely agree. I don't know whether it's just like kind of like the weird off season that we had with all the COVID going on and everything like that, or just like I've been more into March Madness this year in the past or something like that. But it just definitely snuck up on me. It's kind of crazy to think that opening day is on Thursday, which is only 3 days away, and March kind of flew by, and this whole winter has flown by.
It's honestly wild. I think the other thing to take note of is like baseball's been so weird about their like what they're going to do in terms of their rules for the season. Because like we were going back and forth for so long, it doesn't even feel like I still to this day I'm like, obviously there's not going to be a DH, but it still feels like tomorrow they could be like, hey, we're going to include a DH this season. Like that's how it's been with the negotiations. So that part's been really weird and kind of sour. I'm actually like, not to start it off on a sour note, but I'm a little concerned about what's going to happen after this season ends and we get into the labor negotiations. I'm worried about a lockout, but so that's why I think we need to appreciate the season even more than ever in this weird environment for us to get a full season. Very excited about that. I think that teases up perfectly. I think we can jump right into it. I think our goal this week, and admittedly we're keeping it pretty open-minded because all three of us are big baseball fans. So I'm sure we could talk forever about any specific topic, but our goal this week is to give our preseason predictions, talk a little bit probably about our respective teams a little bit, and kind of give our little award predictions and everything of that nature. Ev and I did this segment last year, and I believe it was just me and him, and I think we both did pretty well, if I remember correctly. I had the Dodgers over the Rays, so I was pretty happy about that. I can't remember what you had, Ev, but we'll have to remember this one for the long term. So excited to get started. How do you guys want to do this? You want to start with just division by division? You want to just jump in? You guys ready to roll?
Let's do that. Yep.
Let's crank it.
All right. Let's start with the I'm going to throw out for the first division. Let's go to the AL East. What are you guys thinking in the AL East this season? And I'll kick it to our guest first. Alex, tee us off.
Yeah, for the AL East, I think the Yankees are probably the team to beat there. I believe the Rays won the division last year. Is that correct? Or
Yep.
Yeah, but with them losing Blake Snell, they look like they're trying to retool a little bit. Not necessarily thinking it's going to be a total rebuild, but I think that kind of notches them down a notch. Where the Yankees didn't really lose too much going in. They re-signed LeMahieu and kept all their big pieces, and they still got that horse Garrett Cole and all the big boppers in the lineup. So I think they're the team to beat in the East. The team to watch out for. So if I was to pick the division winner, I'm definitely going to go to the Yankees. I think the second place team is going to be a wild card team. And I actually think the Blue Jays are going to sneak up into the 2 spot. They made some good additions this offseason with George Springer coming in. And I really like the young guns they got there with Bo Bichette and Vlad Guerrero Jr. and all that.
I think the Yankees are the team to beat for sure. The thing about the Rays is they just always figure it out. So despite the fact that they've given off so much, their lineup is still pretty stacked. I mean, it's always kind of a bunch of no-name guys, but it's still really solid. The pitching will be solid because it's always solid. It doesn't look solid on paper right now, but they'll figure it out. So they'll be there. I'll go Yankees to win. I still don't love their team. I like Tyon, but like Kluber and Severino. We don't know what we're going to get from those guys from an injury and how many innings you're going to get. The lineup is going to mash, although Luke Voit is already down. So that's one big injury for them, although he will be back. So it's hard to pick against the Yankees. I was prepared to do the same and go with the Blue Jays at 2, but they've also have a bunch of early injuries. I mean, Kirby Yates done for the year. Springer with a minor injury. I think Robbie Ray has a minor injury as well. And their pitching just, especially without Yates, the bullpen being kind of rough, it's hard for me to go Jays. So I do think those are your top 3. I'm going to go Rays in second, though, and I'll probably decide later if I'm going to put them into a wild card game.
I'm with it kind of a little bit on that Rays train in the sense of like, even with what they've lost, they're just so good at making it work with what they have that I do expect them to be pretty good. And I'm still a little undecided on the Rays and the Blue Jays for that second spot in the AL East, but definitively it's the Yankees for me and first. And they prove it every year. Even when they lose guys, like the number of injuries they had last year, they still had one of the best records in the AL. So their embarrassment of riches is along with the fact that they just have a loaded roster with young guys, and obviously Garrett Cole being the ace there. And hopefully they'll get more than like 30 games out of Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton this year, because if they get that, then they're going to be very, very scary. But they still got a pretty solid bullpen. They got a decent rotation. It's not amazing, but they got a nice top of the rotation. Their lineup's going to hit. They're just going to hit. They're always going to hit. And so I think the Yankees win that division. And I don't even really think it's going to be that close this season, because I just feel like they're the one team that's either stayed the same or added, whereas all the other teams. Oh well, the Blue Jays added too, but they're the one team that was already a playoff team that added, and I think that plays into their favor. So I'm going the Yankees as well. I'll kick it over to Alex for the AL Central.
I'm gonna throw out one more East topic. Any love for the Red Sox having any lick of a chance at a playoff spot? What do you guys think?
I think they got a chance.
Yeah, I think they'll be a couple games under 500, but they'll probably stick around for most of the season and be right in the thick of it. But altogether, with that division, I don't see them being any more than the 4th best team in that division right now.
Yeah, because I've seen some buzz on them being a sleeper wildcard team, and I just kind of want to shoot that down. The Red Sox are still terrible. Their starting rotation is an absolute joke. So I just want to throw that out there and shoot it down.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is actually like if Sale comes back and they're healthy, the rotation is in my opinion okay. My thing is I wonder what they can do offensively. Like I know with the whole like Benintendi situation, and obviously Devers and Bogarts are solid, but they don't have as much lineup depth as they did in the past. But the one thing I've learned with the East, and especially a team like the Red Sox, is like I just don't count them out, because they like any season anything can happen, and I'm not 100% out on them. But personnel wise, they're definitely the 4th or 5th best. The 4th best. Sorry, they're the 4th best team in the AL East personnel wise. But that's where I'm at for sure. So no, I don't think. Do I see them as a shoo-in? No, but could they hang around for that second wild card spot? I think so. Yeah,
we'll see. Central, Alex, what do you got?
Yep, Central, go ahead, man.
Yes, I think this is going to be one of the more exciting races in all of baseball, this division. You look at the division, obviously the Tigers are going to be pulling up the doormat most likely. They're in a deep rebuild. They're 5 years into the rebuild and doesn't really look too hopeful right now. I like what the Royals are doing. They're getting a little bit better. You can kind of see the upward trajectory there with the Benintendi trade and adding him on and a couple other veteran pieces, but they're still a couple years away. But then it comes down to the White Sox, the Twins, and the Indians. And if you look at the Indians, like offloading Lindor and with the budgetary constraints in that market, like I see them like taking a step backwards this year, which leaves the Twins and the White Sox and two teams with pretty like stacked rosters as far as young talent goes. I really like the Twins rotation with Barrios heading that up, and they got some. There's always that untapped potential. You don't know what you're going to get with Byron Buxton. But at the end of the day, like I feel like this is the White Sox division to win. They've got all the young guns there, and they've reloaded and made some nice additions over the last year and a half that you really feel like this is probably their time to really be competitive and compete for a championship. So I'll go with the White Sox and see them as a contender in that division for the next couple of years and the potential World Series threat with that young core they got there. So
yeah, I can't argue with that. I will actually disagree on the Tigers. They probably do finish last, but in terms of their rebuild, the amount of young pitching they have that's almost at the big leagues too is actually insane. And they're starting the year with Casey Mize in the rotation, Tariq Skubal also in the rotation. Matt Manning's still waiting, who's not far off. Like their young pitching is gonna be a problem, and they actually have some nice pieces in the lineup as well. I agree they're probably last. I actually do kind of like the Royals team this year. I don't think it's like a playoff team, but I don't know. It's kind of fun. So we'll see what happens. I don't think they have enough by any means, but I think the Royals could actually get third because I think the Indians are not good at all. I mean, the pitching is still good with Bieber, Savali, and then whoever the heck they still got there. They always have good pitching.
Absurd.
But I just, the lineup is just weird. Like there are some weird names in that lineup that I just can't sign up for. So I could see them being fourth, although more than likely they'll be third. Then it comes down to Twins, White Sox. I'll go White Sox. Twins should be really solid though. Alex Kirilloff's another interesting prospect coming up that should get a lot of playing time this year. But I'll go White Sox. Eloy Jimenez being out hurts a lot. So we'll see what happens there. Andrew Vaughn, I think, is going to break camp with the team though, which is pretty cool. So we'll just have to see. I think the White Sox it's just too stacked, especially picking up Liam Hendricks. That's huge for the bullpen. Like it's going to be tough to beat them. Sai?
Yeah, I'm actually going to take the Twins. I know the White Sox are the sexy pick, and I think the White Sox could be the better playoff team with how loaded they are. But the Twins just have like have a presence that's stable to me, and I think they've just been a team that's been consistently good for the last couple of years, and they just have a very solid core group of people from the rotation into their. Although I do think the Odorizzi situation is a little going to be a little interesting for them, but I do think that with their offense being the consistency that they've had over the last couple of years, I just think there's something about the Twins. Like I just feel like the White Sox are like the sexy name, and I know they made the playoffs last year, but at the same time, like they are still young, and there could be potential for some people regressing or having a down year here and that, whereas I feel like the Twins are a little bit further along, which is why I lean a little bit more on the Twins. But I don't see the White Sox that far behind them, and that doesn't mean I don't have the White Sox in the playoffs or as a threat in the AL. By no means am I saying that. I just like the Twins a little bit more this year as far as record goes. I'm just trying to think to myself, I think the Cleveland Indians are going to finish over 500. Like they just have their general management. There's something about their management that I trust. Like they know how to do a lot with a little, and they have one of the best pitchers in the baseball. They're going to figure out a way to make the rotation decent. They'll piece it together with their offense. Like they didn't make trades for no reason. Like I understand trading away Lindor and Carrasco, which obviously I was pretty happy to have that happen. They like for example, like they didn't trade for Jimenez for no reason. He's going to be an everyday starter for them, and he's going to be good for them, and he's going to be a nice shortstop piece for them. And Rosario has been better the last 2 years, so he'll play into their offense. And then you have Jose Ramirez there, who was second in the AL MVP last year. Like they got an anchor for their lineup. I could definitely see the Indians making some noise. It really wouldn't surprise me if their record wasn't that far off the White Sox. They just have that management team that has a way of making like lesser known guys be good, and I could definitely see them doing that again this year. But all included, I'm actually going to pick the Twins this year for that division to win it. Record wise, I'm not saying they're better than the White Sox. I just think they'll have the better regular season record.
I like it. We get some variety. Should we snake it here so Sai doesn't go last every time? Sai, you want to get some AL West going?
Yeah, you want to go AL West? Let's do it. I don't like this division, man.
Yeah.
I don't like this division at all. It just feels like you have to pick the Astros. But I guess like I want to pick the Angels. Like I want the Angels to win the division. I want Mike Trout to get a shot to like really represent. But they don't do anything for him. Like I understand getting Rendon was amazing, but why have you not done anything for your pitching? It feels like their pitching moves have still been underwhelming. Why did you not get Trevor Bauer? Like why did you let the other LA team get Trevor Bauer? I don't understand. You had the ability to do it. You didn't do it. Man, I got to pick the Stros. And honestly, this one isn't even close for me. Like, I don't – as I look at this, like, maybe the A's have a chance, but, like, Matt Olson rebound, Luzardo, you know what? Like, my second team is probably going to be the A's in that division just because they find a way to win games with less, of course, like they have been the last couple of seasons. But they've lost a couple of guys like Simeon and players like that, so they're going to have to rebound off that. And they're going to need their young pitchers to really show up for them, and they've lost bullpen guys. So the A's seem like they've regressed, and the Astros, even though they lost Springer, still have the majority of their guys. And even without like the veteran guys, their young pitching is really good. Even though we don't like the Astros as a whole, they seem like the team to beat in this division again. So I got to go to the Astros this year.
Yeah, I'm going to echo a lot of what Sai says. Like, I don't really like this division at all either. And I think a lot of it is because, like, the Astros seem like the default, like, front runner there. And, like, they're a team that you really want to see not do well because of the whole trash can scandal a couple years ago. And I think that's kind of like a storyline to watch this year, too, with them, because
Fans.
last year we didn't have fans in the stands. They didn't have to deal with all the ridicule and everything like that of the scandal that they had going on. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what reaction they get on the road going everywhere and see how that affects the players and mentally, and see if they can kind of keep up that way. But I'm also going with the Astros. I like what the A's have going on with the young pitching with like you mentioned Luzardo and some of the arms they got going there. But I just like don't see it as enough to beat out the Stros there. And like Sai saying, like I don't think there's a team in baseball that I want to win more than the Angels. Like we need to see Mike Trout in the playoffs. It's been so long. I think he made it once his like second or third year, and he got swept. But it's a shame to see the best player in baseball and the best player of our generation. I guess arguably going back to Barry Bonds, like they'd be one in 1A going back to that. Trout might be one of the greatest baseball players of all. Is one of the greatest baseball players of all time, but he might never win. He hasn't won a playoff game yet, which isn't his fault at all. It's a function of that team, and they haven't done enough to surround him with talent. So that's just kind of a shame. And I really hope they do well, but most likely, looking at the talent they have on the roster, it'll probably be another season right around 500, and maybe that's enough. Maybe they steal a couple more games, and sneak into a wild card, but I just don't see it as much as I want to. And then elsewhere in that division, the Mariners in the middle of their rebuild. It's going to take them a couple years. They're still a couple years away. The Rangers, like I'm Dallas-based right now, and so I'm going to go to a couple Rangers games starting the next week or two. But they've got really not much going on for them at all. Like you go to see Joey Gallo and see it's kind of like how far he can hit those bombs, because he drops some serious bombs. But otherwise, there's really not much reason to watch that team. So hopefully the stadium's cool, because they are opening that new stadium. It's opened last year, and they only had fans in it for the NLCS and the World Series. But so it'll be kind of cool. That'll be like the biggest attraction there. But otherwise, that baseball team is garbage.
A couple solid storylines you mentioned there with the Astros. I was going to bring that up as well. See, have people forgotten? I certainly don't think they have. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And then the new stadium, which didn't really get its right due, although they did get it for the World Series. But yeah, at the bottom, the Rangers are startlingly bad. Like it's a little alarming how bad they're going to be. I think they could be the worst team in baseball. Maybe them or the Pirates. The Mariners they're coming along. They have some nice pieces. We'll see. Kyle Lewis has an interesting year coming up, because he came out so hot last year and was able to hold on to win Rookie of the Year despite completely falling off of the face of the earth for the second half of the short season. So I think this is a big year for him, just to like, what do we actually have here? And Jared Kelenic coming up. Cy, the one that got away. The fact that the Mets traded Jared Kelenic for the Robbie Cano trade is, man, you're going to pay for that one, because he is going to be an absolute stud when he comes up, and I'm hoping it's sooner rather than later. The injury is a bummer, but
their whole outfield,
God.
right, left, and center is all just top prospects. It's going to be ridiculous to see how good they're going to be in the next couple of years.
And you actually
outfield.
You have Mitch Haniger coming back from injury too. And again, I don't think the Mariners are going to compete, and he's not like a young guy anymore, but it's like, that's another nice piece that they lost last year. So the Mariners might be kind of fun. The rotation's still rough. The Angels, the lineup is going to be so good. I think Ohtani has a huge year. Like, I think he could even push for like an MVP kind of year. I don't know why, but I believe in Ohtani this year. Jared Walsh, if they ever let him play first base, is a stud. They just have this tendency to prefer old guys playing in their lineup. They seem to be sticking with Pujols at first, which kind of blows my mind, because Walsh tore it up last year. But I mean, yeah, well, I mean, stick him on the bench, whatever. But yeah, I mean, Trout, Rendon, Ohtani is going to be tough. The rotation is hilarious. Bundy is their opening day starter, and he was great last year, but it just makes me laugh. They got Alex Cobb. They keep taking all my Orioles pitchers. Raziel Iglesias is a huge pickup for them for the bullpen, though. The bullpen's always been a huge problem. So that actually could be the biggest difference maker for them maybe making a run of the playoffs. Oakland, I like to do the same thing they do every year, which is like hover around a wild card and probably sneak in as a wild card. I like the rotation. They got Trevor Rosenthal as a replacement for Hendricks, who can't be the same, but should be solid. And the lineup should mash. Astros, I hate to say it. I hate to say it, but I love the Astros this year. From not like I hate the Astros, but their lineup is so stacked. Like they lost Springer, but you get Kyle Tucker is a beast. Miles Straw, hear me out. The new center fielder is sneaky, has good steals upside. And if he is good enough to be a leadoff hitter, like then you go Altuve, Brantley's back. Bregman needs to play a lot better than he did last year, but Jordan Alvarez didn't really play last year. That guy is a savage. Correa had a nice year last year. And then the pitching is a bunch of random guys that no one really knows anything about, other than Greinke. Yeah, other than Greinke, and they got Odorizzi now. And I guess Framber Valdez being out for the year is tough, but the Astros are going to be really good, I think. So they'll win it, and then the A's maybe compete for a wild card. But
yeah, that's. Y'all want to do your wild card predictions while we're still on? We're fresh on the American League.
Yeah, I think that's the way to roll. Let's do it. So who do you guys got in your respective wild cards? We'll start with that.
I'll take Twins as my first wild card. And I'm going to go A's as my second wild card, which means the AL East only gets one team in.
Oh, wow. What about you? Win?
I'm going to go Blue Jays Twins in the wild card game.
Yeah, we're not a whole lot different. I'm going to go Whites. I really want to pick the Angels, but I can't. We're gonna go White Sox Blue Jays for me, because I have the White Sox losing in the Central, so I'm gonna have them coming in as a wild card team. So White Sox Blue Jays for me.
Blue Jays as well. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Should we flip it to the West or stay in the West but go National League here?
Yeah, I think we need to finish with the NL East. I think that's
figured. I know you like to go last with your. Well, I guess we got Alex.
We got Alex too.
Yeah, we got Alex too. West, I feel like we can do easy. Dodgers, ridiculous. Getting Bauer or Kershaw. I don't know what order they're putting them in.
Can we phrase this question differently? How close do we think the Padres will be to the Dodgers? Because that's the real question. Like everybody, I would be absolutely shocked if any of us sit here and say the Dodgers don't win that division. And how close are the Padres? Because nobody else is in the conversation. So.
I think there's a chance we have 2 100-win teams in the NL West this year.
I was going to say
the Padres are real damn good too. Like those might be the 2 best teams in baseball, and they just happen to be in the same division right there. Stacked rosters from 1 to 26 all the way down. So
I will say this though, Clevenger going out for them is big. Like I understand they've added other arms that'll help, but I think having Clevenger would have made them definitively the second best team in baseball with the Dodgers. They still have a good rotation. There's no disputing that. And their offense is obviously very good. They're also young, so there's a chance for a little bit of like not as like Machado's established, but there's a chance for a little bit of regression here and there. Like because they have a good lineup, but it's not super deep the way the Dodgers is, right? Like the Dodgers are literally like you could pull anybody out of anywhere and put them in any position, and those guys are gonna like rake for you. So that's the difference between them. I don't think it's going to happen. Like, I don't think that the Padres are going to win 100 games. I think they'll be in the mid to high 90s, which is still great. I think the Dodgers will definitely win over 100 games. So I think the Dodgers will win a division by, I would probably venture to guess like 5 to 6 games. But would it be shocking if the Padres were within a couple games, or maybe give them a run for their money there? I don't think it would be, because they got a roster right there, and they're pitching with Yu Darvish and Snell coming over. I mean, they went all in. Like, you want to talk about all in, like this is as all in as you can go. So I'm intrigued. I really want to, my main thing this season is I want to see if Tatis builds upon his previous year, or if we're going to see a little bit of regression, because I want to see him build upon it. He's super fun to watch, but he's the one getting all the hype in baseball right now. And I know that it wasn't consistent last year, although it was spectacular to watch when he was on fire. So I'm really, really curious to see if Tatis can keep that mojo going, because he's something special. So that's my big storyline there. But yeah,
I do kind of think these might be the 2 best teams in baseball. I don't know if they'll end up with the 2 best records, just because they're going to beat each other up a bit. But the rest of the division should be bad enough to where they can pick up some easy wins there. The Padres, it's just hilarious. Like, with all the trades they made, like you said, Darvish and Snell, and then like they have freaking Mackenzie Gore coming up, who should be ready to go this year. I'm like what? They don't even have room for him hardly.
Yeah.
With
You
Paddock and
realize Chris
Lamet.
Paddock is like their 4th or 5th pitcher right now because
Yeah.
Delelson Lamet was so good last year that he's pitching 4th for them. Like, that's ridiculous.
And they have other young guys too, like Adrian Morejon pitched pretty well last year. Like they're just so strapped, and like the lineup, again, relative to the Dodgers, it's like you can't compete with the depth, but it's like their lineup is as deep as they come. Otherwise, like 1 through 8 with no DH. But I just Dodgers it's just ridiculous. So I think it's hard to go in any other order than.
Can we talk about something with the Dodgers real quick though? Have you guys seen this Walker Buehler situation going on right now? My man's pitched 15 innings pitched 16 innings and I understand you can't get too into preseason, but he's pitched 16 innings in the preseason and he's let up 15 runs. He's got like an absurd ER. Like, he's getting absolutely shelled in preseason right now, which is even more surprising because it's preseason. So the level of competition you're facing is not regular season level. And like, I understand you shouldn't put a lot of weight into it, but like, he has had he can't get out of an inning right now. So I'm like really shook by that because apparently, like, he's usually a guy whose fastball sits a little higher, and apparently it's been in like the low 90s range right now compared to his usual like mid to high. Maybe it comes back, but that's one thing to track. That was a big thing that I saw because everybody talks about Buehler taking over Kershaw's mantle, and obviously Bauer's there now, so he could be their number one. But it would be really. I mean, the funny thing is Walker Buehler could literally be awful all season, and they could still easily have one of the best rotations in baseball. So I mean, it might not matter, but Buehler gets so much hype. Like, that's something to track, in my opinion. Like, I don't know if you guys saw that or hold any weight to that. I was just surprised because that's not like it's not like he got roughed up for a couple starts. My man can't get out of an inning. So
yeah, that's something to watch. But at the same time, like, there's a reason why you don't put that much weight in spring training statistics.
True.
Like, guys are working on pitches, they're fooling around a little bit. So I wouldn't be that concerned. But then again, like, if he's sitting at the end of April with an ERA in the 4s, then you can kind of point back to that as like, oh, maybe the spring training starts like kind of had some juice to them. So it's just something to keep an eye on. But I love what AJ Preller did there with the Padres. They built it the right way. They were bad for a while, but they accumulated so much talent the last couple of years that their farm system was loaded. And this is the offseason. Going back to those trades at the trade deadline last year, they got Clevenger. They've turned that talent into major league ready assets. And you saw in the Blake Snell trade, you saw in the Yu Darvish trade, they've used their surplus of prospects in order to get prime top level performers. And I think it's really going to pay off for them this year. Whether it's enough to catch the Dodgers, I don't know. I think it's going to be a damn good division race, though, and it's going to go right down to the wire. I think ultimately the Dodgers are going to get them by 3 or 4 games, but the Padres are right there as one of the best teams in baseball. Do you guys even want to talk about the rest of the division? Like, I don't think the other 3 teams really stand that much of a chance. The Giants like surprised people by staying in the race last year, but over the course of 162 games, that's not going to happen. The Rockies don't have a lot going on for them either. And the Diamondbacks, I guess you could see them potentially hanging around in the race for a while, but I just don't see them being a playoff team either. So I think this is pretty clearly a 2-horse race in the NL West.
My biggest thing with the other 3 teams is they're going to make big trades that are going to pay off for some sort of contender. That's what's going to happen. Like, where's Trevor Story go, right? Because I would be absolutely shocked if the Rockies don't trade him by the trade deadline, and he's going to be a huge addition for somebody that's competing for the playoffs this year or competing for a championship this year. So, and even the Diamondbacks, if they're struggling, they got some guys on that squad that could really go help somewhere else with pitching, and guys like Kettle Marte. Not that I think that they'll trade him, but I'm just throwing that out there. So the only going to pay attention with those teams is some of those teams have some stud players that could really, really benefit some of these contenders on a short-term deal. So I'm intrigued to see what happens with mainly Trevor Story. He's so good, and he's so underrated given the fact that he's on the Rockies and doesn't get as much, attention as maybe he should.
Yeah, Trevor's amazing. I don't subscribe to any of the Diamondbacks love that some people have. Some people have really liked the Diamondbacks over the last few years, and I just don't get it. The Giants are hilarious because, like, talk about old. Like, their infield goes Posey, Belt. Their second baseman will be maybe a 28, 30-year-old guy, depending on who they go with. Brandon Crawford, Evan Longoria. It's just like it's hilarious.
We got 2012 All-Star team.
No kidding. No kidding. Couple of things I want to mention. The Buehler thing is interesting. I would be a little more concerned about the velocity if there's like a dead arm thing going on. But speaking of Vanderbilt pitchers to go to college baseball here, not that we'll ever talk about college baseball, but have you guys seen Jack Leiter?
Yeah, he's like a .26 ERA or something like that.
16 straight no-hit innings at least, but depending on how restarts ago when, I don't know if he ended on a couple no-hit innings, but that's a no-hitter and then 7 no-hit innings before he had to get pulled in his most recent start. That's just, and in the no-hitter, he had like 17 Ks all on fastballs.
Really?
Like, that dude is a beast. I'm hoping the Orioles can find a way to draft him. Although
I was gonna say he's got to be careful. He might end up on the Pirates.
No. Well, the funny thing is he's their number 2 starter, and he won't even be the first Vanderbilt pitcher off the board, most likely, with Kumar Rocker there.
I was gonna say Kumar Rocker's sick too, so that's ridiculous. Vanderbilt's got both those guys.
So I wanted to mention that. The other thing we missed in the AL Central I wanted to mention is Bobby Witt Jr. Apparently almost made the Royals at like, what is he, like 20 years old?
He's like 19, right?
He's a kid. So had some impressive at bats in spring training. I wanted to mention that, but we can pivot off divisions. All right, we can move over to the NL Central here. Cy, do you wanna kick us off with your predictions?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm gonna go with the Brewers. I've been I'm very much in on a Christian Yelich bounce back. I think the rotation's okay, but Woodruff is really nice, and I think he's going to continue to get better. I think their bullpen is absolutely like insane with Hader and Devin Williams. People talk about Hader so much, you could honestly argue last year Devin Williams was better than Josh Hader if you look at the peripherals. Like, he's so good. So their bullpen is loaded. And I really think that they're going to find a way to pull it off. I'm not really big on, like, this is another division. Like, in the NL, I'm not really big on this division at all. The Cardinals, I think, is going to be the hot pick this year because they acquired Arenado. They got Goldschmidt last year. What's big for them is Flaherty going to be able to bounce back and be the guy that he was a few years ago, or is he going to be the guy that he was last year? Because if he's not, the rotation is nothing to write home about. If I remember correctly, is Harrison Bader hurt? I don't know what his situation is right now. I think he's hurt. So, like, their lineup, like they have 2 guys that used to be legit NL MVPs. They have a potential to be, still very solid above average players. Arenado could very much bounce back in that way. But even then, I'm just not really big on the Cardinals this year. And then I'm just kind of out on the Cubs. The rotation doesn't give me anything to really fear. Half their team is projected to leave or something. I just don't know that they have a lot to play for, that's kind of a concern for me there. So I'm going Brewers. I'm gonna rely on that bullpen and rely on that Christian Yelich bounce back. I think they got Jackie Bradley Jr. too, so that's going to be a nice little piece for them in the outfield. They're going to have a nice little, nice defensive outfield, and I'm Brewers for me.
Yeah, I'll kind of echo some of the comments I made about this division. For me, this is the least exciting division in baseball this year. I just don't have that much interest in this race. I don't think it's very exciting. I don't think there's a lot of sexy teams out there, a lot of sexy players, and I guess I'm going to go with – and I'll also say, same thing about the Cubs. They seem like they have the talent to make a run, but, just seem uninterested in competing. And they look like they're right on the doorstep of kind of a long rebuild where they went down from that championship team in 2016, with the same core and just haven't been able to replicate that success. And you kind of see the end of the wall, the writing on the end of the wall right now where they'll probably lose Chris Bryant after this year, and then they might retain Rizzo and Javier Baez. But at the same time, you kind of you're not very high on the long-term trajectory of the Cubs. I think it's going to be a 2-team race between the Brewers and the Cardinals, and the division winner is probably going to end up winning about 85 to 86 games, in my opinion. I think it's going to be the Cardinals. I'm going to go with the Cardinals there. They made the best move of the offseason in that division by adding Nolan Arenado, and I think that's going to put them over the hump just by a little bit. So I'm going to go Cardinals.
Yeah, the Cubs is interesting. I don't know what the plan is there. It's they should be tearing it down probably, and it seems like they want to, but they're doing it so slowly that it's almost like they're trying to keep competing, but it's their starting pitching is just pathetic. The bullpen's not good. It seems, like you said, I think Bryant will definitely leave. I don't think they have a good relationship, and it looks like the Rizzo extension talks stalled. So I think they really need to just completely blow it up. But it seems like they're I don't know, maybe trying to hold on a little bit too long, which, you know, is a common thing a lot of teams do. So they won't be any good. The Pirates will obviously be last. They're going to be terrible, but Cabrian Hayes is going to be a lot of fun. Cabrian Hayes is a beast. I'm a little nervous that I'm going to give too many of my guys away for tomorrow's fantasy baseball draft. So we'll see about that. But the Reds are also due for a potential big bounce back. I don't think they have enough, especially from a pitching standpoint, after losing Bauer, Raziel Iglesias, Sonny Gray's hurt. So I think, you know, it's going to be a rough start for them. But like the lineup wasn't as good as we thought it was going to be last year, but they should really hit this year. And they're like really punting defense, which is awesome. They're moving Suarez back to shortstop and Moustakas back to third. And they got some like Rule 5-ish guy playing second. So they should really, really hit. But I think they're third. And then the top two is tough. I think Brewers is the right pick, so I will go Brewers. I kind of lead Cardinals, but I'm going to go Brewers because I think that's a right pick. Woodruff and Corbin Burns is a sneaky Cy Young contender. He's a beast.
Cy Young, damn, that's a bold statement.
Did you see he was like a 2 flat and like a 0.9 whip or something last year in a short season, but
wow,
he's legit. And then Hader and, you know, the 1-2 punch in the rotation and bullpen is it's hard to beat either of those. So I think Brewers is the right pick. And then I'm here for the Yelich bounce back as well. And the lineup it's weird and it's kind of old, but it should work well enough. And I think they can get it done.
One thing I will say is the Cubs and the Reds, if they're not competing by All-Star break, it'll be interesting to see how many of those guys get traded, because a lot of those guys were already in trade room. I mean, as a Mets fan, we were in trade rooms with everybody, but I know Suarez was talked about as being traded. I know Chris Bryant was talked about as being traded. I know, you know, Sonny Gray has been talked about being as traded. And there's a lot of guys on those two particular teams that could, you know, potentially Javier Baez. There's a lot of guys on those teams that could be traded to competitors and make a big difference, that are coming out on contracts or don't have like a big contracts left. So that's something to pay attention to with those teams, because again, that's another division where it's like there's so many teams that are like half here, half there, and like Ev was saying, yeah, no, dude, I don't understand what the heck the Cubs are doing, especially as a team that did such a good job of rebuilding to win that World Series a couple of years ago. You would have thought that they would have gotten ahead of it with this stuff. And the Astros have proven, granted, you know, obviously we're not happy about it, but they've proven that they can retain talent in a specific way, whereas the Cubs seem like they just had like a window and then they kind of blew it. Also, Jason Hayward's still one of the worst contracts in baseball. I just really need to throw it out there, because when that first contract happened, I've been saying since the day that contract got signed that was a terrible contract. But I just needed to say that. However, super excited about Brian Hayes in that division. I'm really glad you pointed to that. I can't wait to watch him. He just looks sick. I can't wait. So yeah, that's all I have for that one. Ab, you could start us off on the East, man. We need some little unbiased perspectives here.
We got probably the most exciting division in baseball, as it was last season on the short season. It's interesting. I feel like with the short season, it's like the storylines just carried over. And like, because the divisions aren't that much different, I feel like. But anyway, we obviously got two NL East guys on the call here. Alex has his Nats jersey ready to go. Cy, obviously a Mets fan, as I think everyone is aware of. So I'll start it off here. I'll go all the way through. I mean, I think any of these 5 teams could reasonably be near 500. Obviously, they can't all be. I'm actually going to put the Marlins back in last. And again, this division is just so deep. It's really hard. Like, I think they're doing a great job building, and they actually have a pretty good team. But I'm going to throw them in last because I'm a little more pro Phillies than most this year. Just because I think they'll bounce back. I think the bullpen will be a lot better this year, which is the biggest thing. The starting pitching, you know, they need some guys to step up. Nolan needs to step up. Wheeler needs to step up. But I think they can get more out of those guys. And then with Harper or Real Muta, like the lineup, I think is going to be really good. Hoskins, the full year of Alec Baum, should be good. So I'm going to put them at, I guess, 4th. 3rd, I'll go Nats. Should be better, but I don't think it's enough. I do like the Josh Bell pickup. I think that's a really nice ad. I think the key for them is Victor Robles. Like, Victor Robles needs to hit. And ideally, he needs to hit enough to be a leadoff hitter. To just kind of get some more depth to that lineup, and then you can have Trey Turner driving in runs closer to the middle or maybe out of the 2-hole. Obviously, the rotation there is nasty. They added Lester. Bullpen, we'll see. Top two, I think it's tough. I am going to kind of go chalk and say Mets don't quite have enough to get first. I think the Mets injuries with Carrasco being down, obviously Syndergaard's are already a bit away. The starting pitching to start the year is going to be not iffy, but relative to what the Mets have, which is elite level, it won't quite be there. And then the bullpen should be better with bounce back guys, but like Betances looks like he's going to be a non-factor again. Like I think Seth Lugo's hurt too, right? Like some of the injuries in the pitching fried. Yeah. I'm just not so sure. And the lineup is great, but and I do expect Lindor to have a huge year. He came out with some quotes that he just wasn't really feeling it in Cleveland anymore, which led to a down year, but I think he's going to be a huge year. And I like the lineup, but I don't think it's like a top 5 lineup by any means, but it's above average. So I'm gonna keep them at second. I'm always obsessed with the Braves. They got Ozuna back. I'm obsessed with the lineup. Christian Pache, elite defender out in center field now. Acuna is amazing. I just love the Braves and the young pitching with Ian Anderson coming on. Soroka should come back. Obviously Max Fried's there. They picked up Charlie Moore, and that'll be nice. So I'm going to go back to the Braves at 1. So that's my long-winded, ultimately pretty chalk answer.
Yeah, I think this. Yeah, no, I think this is going to be the most interesting division in baseball because you can make an argument 1 through 5 of any of those teams potentially winning the division. I think maybe the Marlins is a stretch of possibly winning it just because they are so young, but they did make the playoffs last year, so. Whether they can keep it up in a 162-game season, I have my doubts, and I think a lot of people have their doubts. So anyway, I'd probably put them in 5th. I just don't see them being able to capitalize on that magic that had them in the playoffs last year. But I do love Sixto Sanchez. I think he's got ace potential. So that's a real good arm atop that rotation to build around for the future.
You see he didn't make the club, though. That just came out today. I was surprised by that. I was shocked by that. He was amazing last year. But yeah, he didn't even make the club. I guess he had a bad spring. I don't know.
Damn, yeah. No,
I was thinking about keeping him in fantasy, which is obviously my keepers were trash, but I was like, I love Sixto. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah. Yeah, no. And then the 4th spot, I'm also going to go to the Phillies. I think between Mets, Nats, Phillies, like you could probably make a case, put them in 2, 3, 4, any order. Yeah, I think the Braves are just a slight notch ahead of the rest of the division with the young talent that they got there and all the pitching depth that like Ev mentioned. And again, like we got to mention that those contracts for Acuna and Ozzy Albies, absolute steals. Like that was highway robbery to lock them up for as long as they did at that cheap of terms. And you got they got Acuna for what, like 9 years at $130 million or something like that, something ridiculous. And then Fernando Tatis sides that $300-something million deal, and it really puts it in perspective of how much of a steal they got there. But I'll go the Braves at number 1. I think they're just a little bit a step ahead of the rest of the division. I think they'll probably win somewhere like 92, 93 games, with the Mets and the Nats sitting around the 87 to 89 mark, with the Phillies probably a couple games over 500 at 84 to 85 wins. But I think for me, that's kind of how the division lays out. And I am going to put the Nats ahead of the Mets. It might be a little bit of a homer call, but at the same time, those teams are pretty close where you got really good division, really good pitching on both teams. Yeah, the Mets just always worried me. They have a propensity to kind of choke away when they have their the talent there and get bitten by the injury bugs a little bit. But the Nats made a couple moves in the offseason. I'm not going to say it's a great offseason, but I would probably give them a B grade. I like the Josh Bell pickup. We needed an extra bat with a little bit of extra power, and Kyle Schwarber is another bat that'll be in there. That'll be kind of interesting to see how he plays out. It's a statue in left field, but we need the pop, and hopefully he can get on base and hit some home runs and dingers and stuff like that. John Lester, I don't know really how much he has left in the tank. He'll be a solid 4, and if we're asking him to be just a number 4, I think that's fine. But for the Nats, like the key really comes down to the health of the starting pitching. Can Strasburg make 35 starts? We'll see. But I think that's kind of what the season hinges on for the Nats, as well as like I've mentioned Victor Robles. Can he hit? And because we need those young guys to hit. And the other guy that you have to think about is Carter Keyboom, who didn't even make the roster, but he was supposed to be that opening day third baseman. And if he's kind of like the next like star like prospect the Nationals have, if he's a nothing burger, then like that doesn't like really bode well for the future, because he's really counted to be that third baseman, Anthony Rendon replacement. And he hasn't hit in his 2 stints in the big league so far. So we'll see. I'm sure he'll probably spend a month or 2 down there on the farm in AAA, getting some at-bats and experience, and then he'll make an appearance at some point in May or June and ride out the third base role for the rest of the year. So we'll see. And then I guess the other pickup that I have to mention for the Nationals is Brad Hand in the bullpen. That's a huge addition, because the bullpen's always been our question mark. And but he's a real steady hand back there, where you can definitely trust him there, which we haven't had in a while. We've had a lot of Nationals bullpens where you make a couple pickups, like the Will Harris pickup, and you're like, oh, they might be all right. But this year I actually feel like there's some depth there, and you got guys who can fill the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm going to go Nationals at number 2, and with the Mets just behind them in 3rd, somewhere both of them in the 87 to 89 win range.
Yeah, so the Marlins are 5 for me. That's not even a question for me. And no, I don't think they're going to compete for the division. I know they made the playoffs last year. Shout out to them taking advantage of the short season. But Sixto Sanchez not making an open day roster is absolutely ridiculous to me. I don't know what they're doing with that. I think they're going to trade away several of their guys. And I just, one of their main starters is sitting on our bench right now. Like, but there's a little comparison. I feel like VR was batting top 4 for them, and he's sitting on our bench. So like the Marlins are not in a position to really make too much noise this season, and that's no offense to them. I really respect what their front office did last year to make that run, and I think they're looking to the future. Phillies, I think you guys are bigger on the Phillies than I am. Like, I have no love for the Phillies. The rotation outside of Nola is not something I'm like super excited about by any means. There's no consistency there for me to get excited about outside of him. I don't know who's in their bullpen. Like, I really don't know who I'm like relying on in their bullpen, and even their lineup. Like, it's good for them to get Real Muto back, obviously, as a top catcher, but how many more years does he have of being like this super athletic guy? Like that was one of the main reasons. Like the Mets, they talk so much about the Mets getting him, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this long-term contract. I kept saying it for so long, but good for them getting him back. Harper just seems like he's an all-star, but not much more, and like it's just not going to do more than that. So it's kind of like Alex Baum is the guy to watch on that offense. Like if he takes off in the way that he could, then I think their offense's ceiling is much higher. But I'm not super big on the Phillies overall, because I just don't think they have as much as any of these other 3 teams have in terms of like potential. I got the Nats at 3. Like, I mean, sorry, Alex, but I like my Mets and the Braves more than the Nats this year. I think your rotation is obviously, if you're healthy, you're nasty. I'm not big on Lester though. I wouldn't have personally, like if I heard we might have looked at Lester, and I was like, I don't want Lester at all, because I just don't think he brings anything better than like a mid-4 ERA, old guy, lefty kind of situation. But your main point is Strasburg. Like if Strasburg stays healthy, then your ceiling increases a lot. My other question mark there is Scherzer still going to be a dominant ace, or are we seeing a regression? Because the last 2 years ago, he was still really solid. Last year, if I remember correctly, his ERA tailed back a little bit. Shorter season, so we don't know. Still good, but not great. But he's your number one, right? And Strasburg gets hurt, and Scherzer starts depreciating a little bit in the sense of his ERA. That worries me a little bit. I really do like the Josh Bell pickup though. Like, I'm a big fan of that pickup. I think he's got enough lineup depth around him for him to bounce back. He's a guy that can hit you 40 home runs and hit close to 300 if he's healthy, and he's got a good support, so that's good. I just worry about like Juan Soto and Trey Turner having to carry so much weight if Robles doesn't show up the way F said. He's going to be a speed demon on the bases. The question is how often is he going to get on the bases? But Turner and Soto are nasty. I hope you guys extend them soon. Like, I hope those guys deserve their extensions right now. You better do Soto now, or else that dude's going to be making like $40 million a year. He's so ridiculous. I will literally, I'm going to go out and say this now. Juan Soto is the best hitter in that division. Like, he's better than Acuna. He's better than anyone the Mets have. He's better than anyone the Phillies have. He's the best hitter in that division. He's 21. That is absolutely ridiculous. So that is the reason that I still have faith in the Nats having some sort of a bounce back. Here's my homer pick. I'm taking the Mets 1. Like, take that how you will. I understand the Braves are probably the safer pick, and there's no disputing that. They're they're a very safe team in the sense of they have like solid situations coming all across in the sense of offense, in the sense of their bullpen, in the sense of their pitching. I just like our ceiling more personally this year. I think Ev made a fair point that Carrasco and Syndergaard are hurt, but they should both be back within the first month and a half of the season starting. Syndergaard maybe a little bit later, but Carrasco should be back. You made a point about our bullpen. I think you're forgetting we got Trevor May, who is a stud and is going to be really, really good for us. And Loop has been great for the last couple of seasons, and he was terrific in spring training. So he's going to come right in and pitch well for us as a lefty. Diaz has been nasty. The second half of last season, he was one of the best pitchers in baseball, and now in spring training, he's been nasty. And then Seth Lugo is going to be back soon. And the other guy to pay attention to, your boy, Mr. Miguel Castro, even though he hasn't really had consistency, he's been really, really, really good. So I actually love our bullpen more than I have in years. I don't want to see Betances and Familia out there very often unless Betances finds something there, because he's just really struggling. But my main point of all this is our offense. Ev, you said you don't see them being a top 5 offense. I do. Like I genuinely do, because Michael Conforto, Jeff McNeil, and and Dom Smith all batted over 300 last year, and 2 of those guys are perennial could hit 30 plus home runs, and McNeil could literally win a batting title with the way that he hits. And then you add Francisco Lindor to that, who I don't know if you guys have seen his spring training. He has been absolutely on fire, like just raking, and like he's just right back to where he was, and he's going to be a real help for us on the defensive end. And this is all factoring in the fact that Pete Alonso on a down year last year hit 20 plus bombs, and he's been red hot coming back in the spring training. Again, don't want to factor in too much spring training, but if Pete bounces back the way that he does, our lineup from top to bottom is just solid. Our worst hitter right now is JD Davis. Like, I'm not complaining about that. He's a lefty killer. He's not going to do well against righties, and then we have a loaded bench with like guys like VR and stuff coming off the bench. Like, I just think we have depth for the first time in a while. And Alex, you make a fair point about the Mets choking away previous years in the sense of it. But we also have to understand that there's a big difference between the Wilpons and the situation we have now. I bet you we make some additions in the offseason, and I bet you sometime in the next 2 days we'll see a good old $300+ million check signed over to Francisco Lindor, and he's going to be the face of our franchise going forward. So I'm stoked about my Mets this year. Call me my homer bias all you want, but I have a lot to look forward to personally, in my opinion. So I'm excited. That's my pick.
Cool.
That's a strong case, Si. That's a strong case. I guess wrapping up the East, should we give wild cards? Who are our wild cards? I can start us off. I'll go Padres are my top wild card, and Mets second wild card.
Yeah, I'm gonna do pretty much the same thing, except switch the Mets out with the Nats. So Padres and Nats.
Yeah, mine are Padres and Braves. Oh my gosh, the NL.
Easy enough.
The NL is gonna be, that playoffs is gonna be so nasty.
It's gonna be a blast. The AL is stacked. So I guess Rookie of the Year, AL.
Start us off.
I have 2. But I guess it's not really fair to you guys if I pick 2. But I have to go Jared Kelenic. I just love Jared Kelenic's skill set. I think the only pending item is how quickly they call him up. Hopefully, with this whole, like, the Mariners owner, whoever it was, just completely botching the whole service type thing and like announcing it as planned. Hopefully that forces Kelenic up once he's healthy. I just love Jared Kelenic so much, so I have to go with him.
Yeah, I'm going to go the Rays postseason hero last year, Randy Arozarena, for the wild card. You saw the power that he had last year, and he showed some flashes of what the skill that he could bring. So I think he really puts it together this year and hits 30 bombs or so and wins the Rookie of the Year in the AL.
Yeah, I'm going to go Andrew Vaughn. I just think with the lineup that he has there, he's going to be in a prime position as a young guy to just go out there and match the way that he needs to, because he's going to have so much protection. I could definitely see it being Kelenic, and trust me, if there's somebody who knows about Kelenic, is a guy that got him traded away a few years ago. But the main concern I have with Kelenic is he's not going to have protection as a rookie in that lineup. Like, he doesn't have anyone to kind of barely. I mean, come on, compared to what Vaughn's going to have on the White Sox, I could see Arozarena definitely being on that. I mean, he should be, honestly, in my opinion, probably the favorite given what he did in the playoffs. My only concern again there is a little regression since they've already seen him. I bet people are going to start pitching him a bunch of off-speed pitches like all season. So I think he's going to have a little bit of a rough run there. So I'm going to go Andrew Vaughn. I'm going to switch it up a little bit.
My number 2 was Ryan Mountcastle too. A little bit of homer bias, but he absolutely tore it up for the Orioles last year, and I expect nothing different. National League. Who do I have in the National League? What do you guys want to go? I got to think.
I'll go. Keep Brian Hayes, and it's not even a question for me.
Yeah.
Oh, I know who I have.
I was all primed to pick Sixto Sanchez here until he got called. He got sent to the alternate site, but I'm going to stick with him. I think he's only going to be down for a couple weeks, and he'll come back up in the end of April. Another service time manipulation thing, which is a problem for baseball. But I think it's going to be Sixto Sanchez. He's got nasty stuff, and you saw the flashes last year, and I think he puts together and has a real solid year.
I love it. This is an easy one for me too. I made the same pick last year for the short season. And it bit me a little bit because he wasn't breaking camp with the team, but Dylan Carlson. I feel like people have kind of forgotten about Dylan Carlson, which makes no sense for me. He's hitting like 450-foot bombs in spring training. He's starting in center field now that Bader's out. Get a full year out of him hitting probably, fifth or maybe, 1-2, something like that. I think he's just such a stud. So I'm gonna go with him for the second year in a row.
Ev, I'm shook you didn't pick, or you didn't consider Hayes there, because my gosh, Mr. Five Tools over here, this dude can do it all. He's batting like 370 when he got called up last year. So
talk about five tools. Carlson's got them all too, man.
They do. I'm a Hayes guy. Let's go. Hayes.
So I guess Cy Young, American League. It's a tough one. I guess I haven't really thought about this one. Hard to pick against Bieber, but I'm gonna go kind of an under the radar one. Lucas Giolito. I like the look of Giolito. Maybe a little biased because I plan on picking him 1-1 in the fantasy draft tomorrow in our keeper league. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, so I was also thinking Giolito. I was between Giolito, and since you picked him, I'm going to go with Jose Barrios to the Twins. I really like his arm, and I think he's going to put it together this year and take that next step forward that we haven't seen from him yet.
Yeah, I'm going to be boring. I'm going to pick Garrett Cole. I think he won the Cy Young this year. I think he had a great season with the Yankees last year. I think Bieber had a ridiculous season, but I think over the course of a full season, we've seen Cole do it before, and I think he's going to be in prime position to do it again. So I think Garrett Cole will win it.
National League. It feels dumb to pick against DeGrom, so I'll take DeGrom.
Go ahead, Win.
Yeah, this is a tough one. This is one you could see a couple different pitchers winning this one. But I'm going to go repeat Cy Young winner, and Trevor Bauer takes it again this year with the Dodgers.
Here's my bold prediction. Trevor Bauer finishes outside the top 5 at Cy Young, because I haven't seen him outside of 1 year with the Cleveland Indians do anything close to Cy Young until he pitched on a short season. I like that you said it's a tough one. I think you just say that because you're not a Mets fan, but let's just be reasonable here. Jacob deGrom is the best pitcher in baseball, and there is no questioning that. And add in the fact that this man is literally throwing 102 in spring training right now. It's actually ridiculous how good he is right now. Jacob deGrom is my Cy Young in the NL, and that is a no question for me, man. I think he wins 3 out of his last 4 years, and even last year he had a chance. Although I don't think we're giving you Darvish enough credit. Not that we didn't talk about him in Cy Young, but just in general, like how good he was last year, and because he barely missed out on winning it last year. Him, deGrom, and Bauer were the 3 that were in the conversation. But obviously Bauer on a short season had such a ridiculous ERA, you couldn't avoid that. But Darvish has been pretty consistent the last 2 seasons, so he has a real chance this year to pull it off.
I wanted to pick Darvish, but at the end of the day, just couldn't pull the trigger. But he was right he was right up there for me too.
Yep.
AL MVP.
I'm going to be boring in this one and go Mike Trout. It's hard to pick against the best player in baseball.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of even other options that I would throw up there. I think I picked Judge last year. That didn't work out so well. Let's go Trout again, yeah.
You go Mike Trout?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go crazy with this one. I'm going Jose Ramirez. He was this close last year. I'm giving him a chance. Go get it. I mean, this is obviously Mike Trout's probably gonna win it. I'm not disputing that. I think if I was betting, I'd pick Mike Trout, but I just want to have some fun with this. I'm going to pick Jose Ramirez because I think he's a guy that's been so good in baseball for so long. He had one down year, but overarchingly, Jose Ramirez has been one of the best like 5-tool players in baseball for a long time, and he's never had anything to show for it. So I hope he pulls it off this year and wins because he was just absolutely ridiculous last year. So I'm going Jose Ramirez.
All right, move over to the National League. Lots of options I like for this one. It's really hard. I'm gonna take Yelich in the bounce back season. I'm super here for the Yelich bounce back season, so I'm gonna give him an MVP.
Go ahead, Win.
This is a tough one. I'm between Fernando Tatis and Juan Soto, but I think at the end of the day, Soto's going to get his first of a couple different MVP awards this year, and he's arguably with Mike Trout and maybe Acuna up there for the best hitter in baseball. And I think he's really going to put it together this year, like he always has, and he's shown a propensity to improve at the ripe age of, I think he's 22 or 23, and he's only getting better. So I think this is the year Soto takes the MVP.
I like both of those picks. I could definitely see Yelich bouncing back and being great. And yeah, I would be surprised if Soto doesn't have at least one, if not multiple MVPs in his time in baseball with the way that he hits. Acuna is one that I'm really intrigued by. I think he's well on his way. He could have a 30-40 season this year. I want to be a homer and pick Lindor. And I'm not even saying that to be annoying. Like, he definitely could be an MVP this year. So we'll see there. But my pick is going to be Mookie Betts. That lineup and what his position that he's in, like, he could be primed to win the MVP for like the next 5 years without really even blinking an eye because of how easy it's going to be for him to hit with guys around him. And he's already such a disciplined, like, terrific hitter without that support system. But to have that, man, it's ridiculous. You guys know I'm a Mookie fan, but it's beyond that. Like, he's so good and in such a good position. And the other thing I count for when it comes to him is defense. Like, we talk about these other guys. Mookie Betts is also a premier defender too, so that helps with his WAR a lot. So I'm going Mookie.
I love it. And Lindor was actually my 3. Soto was my 2. So you guys hit the nail on the head. And Soto sneaky could be the best hitter in baseball. I agree with you there. Well, gents, we are running out of time on Zoom. So we have 8 minutes to do playoffs, which hopefully should be enough. So we're almost at the hour mark anyway. So should we do just our pennant matchup and then who wins, or should we go through a whole bracket? Probably.
Let's do pennant matchup. Let's just do our NLCS, our ALCS, and our champion picks.
So I can jump on the American League. I have kind of interesting here. I'm going to go White Sox and Astros. I love the White Sox. I think I could see them not winning the division and then making it this far once they get healthy, and hopefully Eloy comes back for the end of the year. Andrew Vaughn gets a little more comfortable. I really think they're at that point where they're ready to rock. And like I said, I picked Giolito to win the Cy. So I think they're there and they're ready to go, especially with Liam Hendricks. I'm going to take the Astros to come out though. I'm on the Astros train with their lineup and their not even no names, but just kind of fun pitching staff. I hate to say it, but I'm on the Astros train to win the pennant this year.
Yeah, I'm gonna go White Sox Yankees in the ALCS, and I think the Yankees are gonna take it over the White Sox and end up in the World Series that way.
I have the same ALCS as Alex, except I have the White Sox beating the Yankees. So I'm gonna go White Sox in the championship over the Yankees.
Neat. Cy, you want to flip that out? What do you got?
Yeah. Here's my homer pick. I'm going Dodgers versus Mets. And screw it. I'm just going all in. I'm gonna just say let's go Mets. Let's go Mets, baby. Let's go Mets. Steve Cohen. Let's go Mets. I'm going all homer here. Let's go Mets.
Yes.
Only because the Dodgers are like the easy pick to win it all. I mean, come on. Like, the only reason I'm picking the Mets is because 90% of people are going to pick the Dodgers. So screw it. I'm picking the Mets.
Yeah. So I got the Braves in the NLCS against the Padres, who make it out of the wild card game and beat the Dodgers in the first round. And I got the Padres in the World Series coming out of the National League.
Wow. I love it.
That.
I'm going to go same as last year. I want it to be Dodgers and Padres because that'd be so fun, but that's not really possible because I think we all assume that the Dodgers are going to be one.
Yep.
Or if the Padres were to win the division, they'll probably be the 1 seed. So I'll go Dodgers over Braves. Dodgers make it back to another World Series. And the trick about the Mets is obviously I don't think any other team wants to see the Mets in a 1-game playoff, obviously. I mean, good gosh, Jacob deGrom in a 1-game playoff situation. But I'll go same as last year, Dodgers over Braves. My World Series is Dodgers, Astros. Part of the reason I went Astros is because I would love, in what will hopefully be a fully crowded stadium by that point.
That's fair.
And I'm sure they could even find a place to do it where it would be. Oh man, how fun would that be? I wanted it last year because I wanted the Dodgers in a way to be the ones to knock off the Astros and just have that epic series. So I'm doing it this year, and there's no way I'm picking the Astros to get the best of the Dodgers. I got the Dodgers going back to back here. They're just too good, too deep, too much going on there.
Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, so I got the two teams in the World Series for me are the Yankees and the Padres, and I see the Padres winning a very good series in 6 games with Manny Machado taking home the World Series MVP trophy. So I'm all in on the Padres bandwagon this year. I don't think they have enough to beat the Dodgers in the regular season, take the division crown, but I see them getting hot in the playoffs and taking the World Series back to San Diego.
Give me Jacob deGrom as my World Series MVP, baby. Pitch me 2 to 3 starts and then just dominate everybody, Mr. deGrom, and then I'm all in. deGrom, Syndergaard, Carrasco, Lindor, Tawana Walker. Let's get it, baby. Michael Conforto. Let's go Mets. Let's go win it. Let's go show the world what it's like not to be owned by the Wilpons this year. Let's get it. And I expect some midway season moves. Let's go Mets, baby. Let's go Mets over White Sox. Mets over White Sox. I'm going full homer.
I love it.
Not because this is me as a betting man. This is just me. This is just me being a total homer right now.
Cy, the all-time homer. I love it. But anyways, that puts us at about time. I don't know about you guys, but opening day is always like one of my favorite days of the year. Like it's up there obviously with the first day of the NCAA tournament. Like I just feel like this new sense of calm and happiness comes over me to know that baseball's back. It might be weird, but I don't know. I just love it. So hope you guys enjoy your opening days. Your season should be a little more exciting than mine from your team's perspective, but you know, I don't care. I just love watching baseball no matter who's on the TV. So Alex, last word. Thanks for coming on, man. Always good to have you on for some baseball chatter.
Thanks for having me, guys. This was a pleasure. Hopefully do it again next year. Baseball's back, baby.
Baseball's back.
Sure, let's go. I can't wait, gents. It's always so good to be able to turn a game on every day around 7 p.m. and sit back, kick back, and watch the good old ballpark. So let's do it.
No
I'm
doubt.
excited, gents.
Let's do it. That was Mondays Down South. Enjoy opening day.